Hello chess friends and welcome to Azarov's chess channel and welcome to my chess tactics and chess puzzle series. So in my previous videos I've already done many of these tactical ideas like space clearance, deflection, etc. So today it's time for another nice tactical shot, and it's called demolition of a pawn structure. This demolition of a pawn structure basically happens around the king, so after the king has castled. So you see here I already marked this red squares, so we will do 6 videos about this demolition of a pawn structure. So you see we have of course here the squares f7, g7, h7, f6, g6 and h6. They will all be explained in this series. Of course it can also be on the other side when your opponent has castled here queenside. It can be also on the squares c7, c7, c6, b6, b7, a7 and a6. Of course it can also work while you're playing as black, and you do the same idea here on the squares for white. So basically this tactical shot works when you have more attackers than defenders. So here is a position. You see I've already set it up. It is one position from my game which I played a couple days ago, and you see in my previous moves I deflected here this knight with this move of here from e4 to e5 with this pawn. I deflected this king, this knight on d7 from the defense of this square on h7. So you can see now we have here sort of a position in which I have more attackers. I have 1, 2, 3, and of course even the queen can go here on h5. I have more attackers than defenders. Then black has defenders around his king, and of course we search for a tactical shot. So in the continuation my opponent plays c takes d4, and of course today's subject will be the square of h7. So we have here now the demolition of a pawn structure with the special subject here, the h7 square. So we are doing just today this particular square. Of course it can also be maybe h2 when you're playing with black, as said, and it can also be a7 and a2. So we are doing this these squares on the side of the board, and let's see now this tactical shot that I've managed to play in the game. So of course bishop takes on h7. Now my opponent takes on h7. I played here knight on g5, g8, and you see now I have here this move queen to h5, of course with the threat here to checkmate in one move. And here we have bishop takes on g5, h takes g5, again with the same idea here, mating threats on the h file. So my opponent plays here f6. He wants to create at least some space for the king, and I have here g6, cutting out of course the square for the king, and it's of course game over. If my opponent plays something here with the rook, then we have here immediately checkmate. You see, in this position it happened because my opponent didn't have any defenders around his king. So the bishop wasn't here maybe on g7. It would be better of course, but of course that was the position, and his knights are also far away from the king, the queen also, the bishop also. So my opponent didn't have any defenders around his king. So we have this position where I have more attackers than my opponent has defenders, and of course if you see such positions you have to watch for your tactical shot. Of course they are not always possible, but you have at least consider the option to play a tactical shot. So let's show another example of this h7 sacrifice with the demolition of a pawn structure. So first of all you have to be familiar with this particular mating picture. So when your knight has here cut out these two squares, this this g6 and g8. So in the previous move, maybe the knight came here from d5 with the check, and then the king played here from g8 on h8, and then of course you have this mating picture. It's really common, this rook to h3. Of course you see this knight with the rook creating here a really nice mating net for around black's king, and this is a really nice checkmate. So in order to get a better understanding of this mating picture, here is one particular position. Now we are trying to do the same. So you see we have now again this position where black doesn't have any defenders around this king, so he has not a bishop, not a knight here maybe to defend the king. And we are again looking at this mating picture. Our mating picture is here to play maybe the knight on e7 with the check, then then the king has to go on h8, then we can play the queen sacrifice, then the king takes of course on h7, and we play here rook on h1 with the checkmate. But the problem is the queen is here on the square of d7, and of course the queen defends the square of e7. So in order to deflect the queen, and I've already done this tactical motif of the deflection in chess, so you can also watch my previous video about this deflection chess tactics, and I'll show you the link of course at the end of this video. So we have to deflect the queen from the defense of this e7 square. So let's see how that can happen. We have here the move bishop to b5, which of course now challenging the queen. Of course if the queen cannot go here on e7 and c7, of course if the queen goes on c8, the same idea here, a knight on e7 with the check. So of course black has to take here, then you have immediately knight on e7 with the attack on the king. We have king on h8, queen takes on h7, king takes on h7, and now this again this mating picture, which you have to keep in mind. You have to really realize it sometimes in the game, and of course it's checkmate here. So as I said, now the fun part for you, this is now chess puzzle for you to solve at home. Keep in mind that our square which we have to attack is the h7 square. So find your mating picture, or even try to get out of the game with superior material of course here, and try to solve it. I think it's a fun chess puzzle. So of course guys, thank you for watching. As said, you can also watch my deflection video of this chess tactics and chess puzzle series, and you can also maybe watch, in order to get a better opening repertoire, watch my hyper accelerated Dragon Sicilian defense. And of course don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching guys, chess is the best.